Well, it's the outbreak of the linguistic war in the state of Maharashtra, where linguistic chauvinism is at its peak, leading to Gundaism, as expected on the part of goons from the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. We're breaking down that big story from the state of Maharashtra. I'm Sneha Mordani. This is 5 Live.
MNS Gundaism galore in Maharashtra. Language violence hits peak. Neta's mum back Gundas. Uddhav Sena plays safe amidst slapping gate. Speak or be slapped diktat in Maharashtra. Return of the language wars. Top focus on 5 Live.
And we have some news just coming in. Maharashtra Chief Minister has slammed the MNS language violence. Devendra Fadnavis says police action on language-related violence. MNS Sena UBT think only they are Marathi. We have a reaction coming in from the Chief Minister.
महाराष्ट्र में मराठी भाषा का अभिमान रखना ये कोई गलत बात नहीं है, लेकिन भाषा के चलते अगर कोई गुंडागर्दी करेगा तो इसको हम सहन नहीं करने वाले। कोई अगर भाषा के आधार पर मारपीट करेगा तो ये सहन नहीं किया जाएगा। जिस प्रकार की घटना हुई है उसके ऊपर पुलिस ने एफआईआर भी किया और कार्रवाई भी की है, और आगे भी अगर कोई इस प्रकार से भाषा का विवाद करेगा तो उसके ऊपर कानूनन कार्रवाई होगी। हमको हमारी मराठी का अभिमान है, लेकिन भारत की किसी भी भाषा के साथ इस प्रकार से अन्याय नहीं किया जा सकता।
It's a big statement coming in from Devendra Fadnavis saying that there has to be political action on those people who are indulging in Gundaism, is what he said. He's also taken a dig really at the Sena UBT, essentially talking about the fact that MNS and Uddhav Thackeray's Sena think that they are the only ones who are Marathi. In that sense, are they the Thekidars, is what he's suggesting. Maharashtra Chief Minister hitting out at those who were in fact carrying out violence in the name of language. These were MNS goons, and this incident was from Mumbai, where on video, on camera, a man was slapped by MNS workers. In fact, there have been several political reactions also coming in, with the Uddhav Sena in a way ambiguous about what their stand is on this violence that has taken place. Not the first time. However, speaking volumes really of their silence really in this entire controversy, we saw that Uddhav Sena was silent and ambiguous in their response. Also, we saw support coming in from ministers really within the government, talking about the fact that those who disrespect Marathi, in fact, will be punished, not condemning the violence. But here we have the Chief Minister setting the record straight in the state of Maharashtra, reacting to this controversy over Maharashtra Navnirman Sena workers thrashing a shopkeeper, slapping him for refusing to speak in Marathi. I'm going to go straight across to Ritik Bhalikar for more details on that. It's a clear-cut message there from the Chief Minister that violence against anyone, a Gundaism, will not be tolerated. Ritik, but the fact of the matter is that even ministers within the government have come out and not said anything about the violence, but said that those who are disrespecting Marathi will be punished.
Yeah, absolutely. The language war has intensified in Maharashtra ahead of upcoming civic body polls. As we can see that just a day before, Nitesh Rane, cabinet minister, had challenged MNS party workers who assaulted Meera Road shopkeeper, and he said that only poor Hindus are targeted and they are beaten. If they have courage, they have guts, they should go to places where Muslim community dominated areas are there, like in Baikala or in Govandi or in several areas of Mumbai. By the same time, we also saw a post coming on X from MNS leader Sandeep Deshpande. He's been standing firm on his ground, saying that if Marathi language is disrespected, they are going to get it back hard, really hard. Now that CM Devendra Fadnavis has chipped in and he has assured that law and order will not be disturbed and it will not be tolerated, but at the same time, he is also appealing people in Maharashtra that Marathi should not be disrespected.
You know, also, Ritik, this also comes at a time really when Uddhav Sena has been, they're playing safe, I'd say, as far as this latest controversy is concerned. I mean, not the first time in Maharashtra that something like that has happened, but this time around, it seems that Uddhav Sena is playing safe, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, because, the core Marathi vote bank was claimed by Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena. Now that Shiv Sena has been divided into Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena and UBT Shiv Sena, and also MNS getting really aggressive on this whole language row. The upcoming civic body polls is going to be really a big challenge in front of all the regional parties who claim to be the real protectors of Maharashtrians and Marathi language. Now they are in thought that maybe Marathi vote bank will be divided and they have to bear the brunt of it. So every regional party is coming to the foray, but at the same time, Uddhav Thackeray, who we know is coming together with his estranged cousin Raj Thackeray tomorrow at 5th of July.
In that sense, Ritvik, the timing of this is also interesting, isn't it? Just tomorrow is when the rally is, when the Thackeray brothers, cousins in a way, come together. They share the stage. It is in fact on Marathi identity. It's the Marathi Vijay Divas, and this incident comes just before it, isn't it? And hence, the very calculated sort of a response from the Sena.
Absolutely. Now every party is trying to cling into each other and let Marathi people know that they are the real saviors of Marathi and their benefit. And so we can see that after 20 years, both Thackeray cousins, Raj Thackeray and Uddhav Thackeray, along with their family, are coming together. Obviously, they are saying that there will be no party flags or no party agendas, but we are coming together for the goodwill and benefit of Maharashtra and Maharashtrian people.
All right, Ritik Walekar getting us those details. I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. But a shocking video from Maharashtra sparking political chaos with MNS workers caught assaulting a shopkeeper for not speaking Marathi. As ministers jump in with bizarre defense and 6 days pass without arrest, the story reveals the dangerous rise of language vigilantism. Here's more.
Through the week, a shocked nation has watched and rewatched these disturbing visuals of linguistic violence in Maharashtra, where MNS workers were caught on camera assaulting an elderly shopkeeper simply because he didn't speak Marathi. The victim tried to explain that all languages are spoken in his store, but that only seemed to aggravate the assault. But what's more shocking than their hooliganism is the defense from the party high command. Instead of condemning the violence, MNS leader Avinash Jadhav has come out to defend the accused, calling them youngsters who just got into a fight. He dismissed the outrage, claiming that BJP agents were behind the protests and not the trader community.
जो मोर्चा था वो व्यापारियों का नहीं था, वो भारतीय जनता पक्ष के कुछ एजेंट लोग हैं, उन्होंने सबको एक करके किया हुआ मोर्चा था। वो व्यापारी मुझे कल रात को मिला था, उन्होंने मुझे कहा था दादा हम लोग कोई मोर्चा बिरचा नहीं निकालेंगे, हम लोग हमारे समाज मंदिर में मिलेंगे और जो भी है आपस में बैठ के बात खत्म करेंगे। ऐसी हमारी बात होने के बाद कल भारतीय जनता के पक्ष के कुछ एजेंट हैं, उन्होंने इन सबको भड़काया।
That's it. No remorse, no apology. But MNS isn't the only party pushing for language supremacy. Shiv Sena MLA Yogesh Kadam has openly asserted that those living in Maharashtra should speak in Marathi.
महाराष्ट्र में मराठी तो बोलनी ही पड़ेगी। अगर मराठी नहीं आती है तो आपका ये एटीट्यूड नहीं चलेगा कि हम मराठी बोलेंगे नहीं। हम कोशिश करेंगे ऐसा वो बता सकते हैं, बोल सकते हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल से देखिए, हमें किसी और लैंग्वेज का अपमान हमें करना नहीं है, लेकिन मराठी में अगर कोई महाराष्ट्र में कोई मराठी को डिसरिस्पेक्ट करता है तो बिल्कुल वहाँ पे हमारे कायदा हम लागू करेंगे, उस पर कार्रवाई करेंगे। जो भी है, जिन्होंने भी उनको मारपीट की है, बिल्कुल उनको एक ही संदेश देंगे कि कायदा आप हाथ में मत लीजिए।
If that wasn't enough, Minister Nitish Rane hit back with a communal spin on the controversy, accusing MNS of only having the courage to attack poor Hindus while never daring to confront Muslims or celebrities who don't speak Marathi.
अगर वो मराठी के लिए लड़ रहे तो फिर ये लोग ने मोहम्मद अली रोड बहरामपाड़ा में जाके क्यों नहीं मराठी के लिए लड़ते? मराठी के लिए अगर लड़ रहे होंगे ना, तो जिस तरह से मीरा रोड गए, जिस तरह से थाना के कोई, तो ये एरिया में भी तो मराठी बोली नहीं जाती ना। मुमरा जैसे एरिया में मराठी कहाँ? अगर आपको मराठी के लिए लड़ना है, मराठी को इम्पोज करना है, तो सब जगह करना है। ये सिलेक्टिव क्यों चाहिए? सिलेक्टिव अपनी हिम्मत क्यों दिखाना है? सिलेक्टिव अपने आप को शेर क्यों बोलना है?
But while politics rages on, the business community is furious, demanding strict action and accountability. They want the accused, who have been identified as Karan Kanangire and Akshay Salvi, to be put behind bars. But despite the video evidence, not a single arrest has been made. Even 6 days later, the accused roam free, emboldened and unrepentant. Bureau Report, India Today.
But this is not the first time that an incident like that has happened in Mumbai or in Maharashtra otherwise. A shopkeeper was thrashed on the 1st of July in Mira Road Thane is what we are referring to, this latest incident. Before that, an SBI employee was beaten up in the month of June on 12th, essentially, in Dhule in Maharashtra. Then, a security guard was also assaulted on the 1st of April in Mumbai. A DMart employee was stabbed, in fact slapped, on the 25th of March, again in Mumbai city. Shifting focus to the national capital, where there is massive relief for Delhiites. The Delhi government has put on hold the contentious order denying fuel to end-of-life cars, the term for petrol vehicles older than 15 years and diesel vehicles older than 10. Welcoming the announcement, AAP mocked BJP for taking a U-turn on what it called Tughlaki Farman. 3 days after the order came into effect, Delhi government penned a letter to the Commission for Air Quality Management, highlighting that the fuel ban is not feasible and that it can't be implemented due to technological reasons or challenges. AAP has hailed it as a win for the people of Delhi, the opposition, now saying that the BJP is a government of U-turns and was forced to withdraw the Tughlaki Farman due to public outcry.
The Delhi minister Manjinder Singh Sirsa cited that the ANPR cameras are not working properly, the database is not robust, the audio output system is not working properly, and moreover, the vehicles which are from outside Delhi, their database is not available in the present ANPR system, which means while the Delhi vehicles will be denied refueling on petrol pumps in Delhi if it's EOL vehicle, the other vehicles from the adjoining area states will continue to get fuel. So it's very unfair system that's being implemented in the national capital. However, Chief Minister Rekha Gupta said that in many cases people have very emotional relation with their cars if it's a gifted car from their father or somebody else, and hence the metrics to ban such cars should be pollution emission and not the years that has been proposed or that was ordered as per the CAQM. However, Aam Aadmi Party is saying that this Tughlaki Farman, quote unquote, or the illogical order that was passed by the Delhi government has been now withdrawn under the pressure of Aam Aadmi Party and people of Delhi. And they had earlier accused that this was being done at the behest of the automobile industry. On the other side, the confusion for the petrol pump employees like this one continue because the CAQM is yet to issue an official new order in regards to the end-of-life vehicles. with video journalist Manish Bidhuri. This is Amit Bhardwaj reporting for India Today from Delhi. Confusion क्या किस वजह से हो रही है अभी, क्योंकि ऑर्डर की कॉपी नहीं आई है या आप लोगों ने सिर्फ खबर में सुना है इस वजह से?
केवल सर हमें पर मैसेज ही आया हुआ है, बाद बाकी कोई ऑर्डर नहीं आया हुआ है हमारे पास। तो हमें ये इंस्ट्रक्शन दिया गया है कि आपने लूज पेट्रोल फिलहाल अभी तक कुछ नहीं देना हमें।
लूज पेट्रोल देने पे मनाही है। ये जो नोटिस लगा हुआ है आपके पेट्रोल पंप पे वो कब हटेगा, इसको लेके कोई तस्वीर साफ हुई?
सर अभी हमारे पास कोई ऐसे इन्फॉर्म कुछ नहीं आया है कि जो मतलब कि हटेगा।
तो ये ANPR सिस्टम अभी भी चल रहा है?
ये तो चल ही रहा है सर फिलहाल।
अब सुबह से ऐसी कोई गाड़ी आई
नहीं, अभी तो कोई गाड़ी ऐसी गाड़ी आई नहीं है। और बाकी ये है ना, जैसे उन्होंने ये जो हुटर लगाने वाले जो मशीन लगा रहे थे वो बता रहे थे कि ये प्रोग्राम होल्ड हुआ है, मतलब पूरी तरह डिक्लाइन नहीं हुआ है, होल्ड हुआ है। हमने बोला दिन भर, क्योंकि कल ही स्पीकर लगे हुए हैं।
तो पेट्रोल देना है, डीजल देना है कि नहीं देना है?
अब उसमें तो ये प्रॉपर, ये तो कंफ्यूज ही है, क्योंकि जब तक अभी हमारे मैनेजर को प्रॉपर लेटर नहीं आएगा या कंपनी से हमारे को लेटर आएंगे तभी वो कंफर्म हो पाएगा।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की दिल्ली की सरकार के एक तुगलकी फरमान के खिलाफ लोगों ने जो आवाज उठाई, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार को अपने तुगलकी फरमान को वापस लेना पड़ा। कुछ दिनों पहले भारतीय जनता पार्टी के मंत्री उछल उछल के लोगों को लगभग धमका रहे थे कि कोई भी गाड़ी डीजल की अगर 10 साल पुरानी हो और 15 साल पुरानी पेट्रोल की गाड़ी हो तो उसको दिल्ली में रहने नहीं देंगे। तुगलकी फैसले का फायदा सिर्फ और सिर्फ बड़े बड़े धन्ना सेठों को होने वाला था।
इस स्कीम को लागू करने से पहले इस व्यवस्था का कोई ट्रायल रन नहीं हुआ था। बहुत सारे टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस थे जिसकी वजह से ग्राहकों को, पेट्रोल पंप डीलर्स को, सबको बहुत परेशानी हो रही थी इस ऑर्डर को इम्प्लीमेंट करने में। साथ ही साथ जो NCR में एक साथ लागू करने की हमने रिक्वेस्ट करी थी, क्योंकि अगर प्रदूषण की समस्या से हमको सामना करना है तो दिल्ली और पड़ोसी राज्यों को मिलकर करना पड़ेगा। अकेले दिल्ली में कोई भी व्यवस्था लागू करके हम उसको कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते। वो भी मंत्री जी के पत्र में लिखा है कि जब तक NCR के राज्यों में भी इस व्यवस्था को लागू नहीं किया जाएगा तब तक ये सक्सेस नहीं हो सकती।
ऑटोमेटेड टेस्ट स्टेशंस की बात की गई थी। जितने भी सेफ्टी पैरामीटर्स हैं वो चेक करने के बाद में उसको रिन्यूअल ऑफ फिटनेस दे दी जाती है। तो इस तरह से दूसरी स्टेट्स में डीजल की गाड़ियां 15 साल और पेट्रोल की गाड़ियां 20 साल, BS4 गाड़ियां ऑलरेडी ही पोल्यूशन कंप्लाइंट हैं और उनकी कंडीशन बहुत अच्छी है। उसके लिए दिल्ली सरकार दिल्ली में ऑटोमेटेड टेस्ट स्टेशंस का एस्टेब्लिश करे और वहां पर फिर इसको टेस्ट करने के बाद में इनको भी, अगर इफ दे आर फाउंड रोड वर्दी एंड पोल्यूशन फ्री, देन दे शुड ऑल्सो गेट ए लाइफ ऑफ अनदर 5 years.
All right, there's massive politics that's raging over that. First, the implementation of the rule and then the U-turn, because it's being seen as something that the Delhi government has done as a bit of a U-turn there. Now, the blame game is as follows, with the Aam Aadmi Party saying that this was not because of us. We were in power between 2015 to 2025. We never brought about this rule. It was the BJP government in Delhi which essentially implemented what was said by the NGT and the Supreme Court. So it is not our fault is what the AAP says, the BJP says otherwise. But let's tell you about what really happens now. Now, have you ever thought, if you're living in Delhi, how expensive is it to own and run really a car? What's actually the cost of your car and how problematic this was, or this would have been in that sense now that the rule has been scrapped. A little about the ex-showroom price, plus base price and 28% GST, plus 1%, 22% compensation, cess, plus after the car is bought. The RTO cost 4% to 10% for petrol cars, 5% to 12.5% for diesel cars. Let's also tell you a little about the miscellaneous fees, registration charge, HRSRP, MCD, parking fees, etc., etc. Essentially the cost of running the car, and plus with the insurance is at about 18% GST, which of course is the insurance premium that you have to pay. Then the tax collected at source, 1% if ex-showroom price is above 10 lakh rupees. Essentially a very, very expensive deal to really have a car in Delhi, to own a car in Delhi. Also, Now that this rule has been rolled back, this ban has been rolled back or unbanned in that sense, what can you do if your car was impounded? We'll tell you. This is what you should be doing. Apply to the Transport Department for release. The scrapping cell verifies the ownership and vehicle age. Also, for Delhi and NCR, the National Capital Region, remember where this rule was to come into effect from the 1st of November. If you're shifting out, you should be getting a no objection certificate. Well, if you're staying here, then show proof of private parking, because you'll not be allowed to park in any place which is public. You have to have a private parking. Explain presence in the ban zone for outside vehicles. Also, penalty for 10,000 rupees for four-wheelers and 5,000 rupees for 2 to 3-wheeler vehicles. The final release is going to be issued in driving in Delhi. Will not be allowed even if your car is given back to you, because that's always been a rule. Remember, you can't drive these end-of-life vehicles in Delhi. That's been a rule, and that really stays. Kumar Kunal is getting in more details on that big story and tracking that from the very beginning. Kumar, the fact of the matter here is that NGT had said essentially that this is what should be done to do in a way to do away with end-of-life vehicles because they add to the vehicular pollution in Delhi. The Supreme Court had to intervene. The Aam Aadmi Party now says, what have we got to do with this? When we were in power, we did not implement this rule. We did not cause any inconvenience to the people of Delhi. So why are we being blamed now, isn't it?
Actually, the rule which has been implemented in Delhi by the BJP government, actually that was formed by the Aam Aadmi Party government in 2024. That's why BJP is blaming Aam Aadmi Party, that who have made all these rules. Obviously, BJP government is implementing this rule at the behest of Supreme Court, but now they are arguing that the rules were made by Aam Aadmi Party government, otherwise they don't have to implement. So all these things are the political blame game will go on. But in the meanwhile, the outrage which happened after the implementation of no fuel rule, that actually forced Delhi government to write to CAQM that they should take their order back. But till now, right now when I am talking to you, CAQM has not taken its order back, which means that no fuel rule is still in place. And we are also waiting that if CAQM is going to take any further decision or not. And all the eyes are on CAQM that if they will roll back that particular order which was released in April this year, then only no fuel rule will be taken back.
Kunal, I'm going to leave with that for the moment. Kumar Kunal getting us up to speed with those details. One wonders what really was that one-day ban, really a bad law, not implemented without any preparation, and of course a great deal of inconvenience that was caused to just so many people living in Delhi. I mean, spare a thought for those whose cars were impounded. Now they have to go get it back. A lot of people sold off their vehicles in a hurry, at a loss also essentially, in fact afraid that they will not be getting fuel and then the car would be rendered useless. But I'd like to quickly reiterate for our viewers here that even if you're getting your vehicle back, remember that rule stays, you still can't be using them in the national capital. Now, amid this row over expenditure on Delhi Chief Minister's residence, and that's another big story we're tracking from Delhi city here, Rekha Gupta, the CM, started her own camp office in Delhi. These Jan Seva Kendras authorized to provide services related to the Delhi Chief Minister's initiatives or schemes. These centers act as intermediaries, facilitating access to various government services and schemes for citizens. The Chief Minister's Jan Seva Kendra act as a bridge between the Delhi government and its citizens, ensuring that people can easily access essential services and participate in the government's initiatives. BJP has also hit out at the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal over his palatial bungalow that stirred a huge controversy, remember, just a few weeks ago.
Right now, we are in the camp office, which is named as Jan Seva Sadan. And I will show you that these are the rooms where Delhi CM will actually meet common people, they will come and they can meet her. This is the main entrance, and I will take you to the room where Delhi Chief Minister will have her office. This is the one which is actually CM's official position where she will sit during all the public hearing. Here there is a computer and a chair, and in the background you can see the photographs. So all these special arrangements have been done at this camp office. Another office is there for the staff who are working with the Chief Minister. So this is a staff office where actually Chief Minister's staff will sit. And another room is being designated as the waiting room. This is the waiting hall where some sofa sets have been kept, and here people who will come to meet Delhi's Chief Minister will sit. So today actually all the ministers and CM, they themselves claimed that earlier when Arvind Kejriwal was the Chief Minister, no one was allowed inside the office, but now every person whosoever is willing to meet Chief Minister can come to this office.
ऐसे ही पर्दा आपके घर पे लगा होगा, मेरे घर पे लगा होगा, दिल्ली की जनता के घरों में ऐसे ही पर्दे लगते हैं. इस प्रकार का सदन है ये. जैसा एक साधारण कार्यालय होता है, दफ्तर होता है, लोगों के सेवा का केंद्र होता है, शीश महल जो केजरीवाल ने बनाया, उसके पर्दों के खर्चे से कम पैसों में जितना अभी आप इस कैमरे में देखेंगे वो सब कुछ उससे कम पैसों में बन चुका. मैं तो ये सोच के रहा था,
कमरा भी तो दिखा दे. हमारे साथ दोनों मंत्री हैं, कपिल मिश्रा भी हैं और मनजिंदर सिंह सिरसा भी हैं. ये मुख्यमंत्री का कमरा होगा मुझे लगता है.
मोटा फर्क दिखा देता हूँ. जो पहला मुख्यमंत्री था ना, वो यहाँ से ऐसे बटन दबाता था तो पर्दा भागा इधर को जाता था, उधर के आता था. ये देखो साधारण लोगों का पर्दा हाथ से ऐसे कर दिया.
अच्छा, ये जो कुर्सी है क्या ये मुख्यमंत्री इस पर बैठेंगे और
मंत्री जी यहाँ पर बैठेंगी, यहाँ जनता से मिलेंगी, अधिकारी बैठेंगे, वेटिंग रूम है, पीछे कंप्यूटर लगे हैं, प्रिंटर लगे हैं, रिकॉर्ड किया जाएगा, समाधान किया जाएगा. वेटिंग रूम है, अधिकारियों का रूम है, कंप्यूटर का कक्ष है, मुख्यमंत्री जी के बैठने की व्यवस्था है. कुल मिला के जो भी बेसिक मिनिमम जो होना चाहिए एक जन सुनवाई के लिए, वो सारी व्यवस्थाएं यहाँ पर हैं. लेकिन जो भी गिनाया जा रहा था, मैं तो ऑन रिकॉर्ड कहता हूं, आप सारे एसी गिन लो, सोफे गिन लो, कुर्सी गिन लो, टेबल गिन लो, कंप्यूटर गिन लो, प्रिंटर सारे गिन लो, सारे गिन के उनका खर्चा गिन लो, वो सारा खर्चा शीश महल के एक पर्दे से कम में हो गया.
And more news coming in. This has got to do with the Congress party's women outreach in Bihar, and it seems to have backfired. Well, Rahul Gandhi's face on sanitary pad packets has triggered a big controversy. Congress was to distribute these sanitary pads to 5 lakh women. Congress now, after facing flack for having Rahul Gandhi's picture there on your screens that you see essentially in that pad, in fact on the sanitary pads packet, has now defended this decision to have his face there, saying that BJP was ready to give out sindoor boxes to women with the Prime Minister's face on it. I'm going to go straight across to Rohit Singh for more. Rohit, this is absolutely bizarre and also a very weak defense really coming in from the Congress party there, trying to woo women. However, Rahul Gandhi's face on that packet, how are they really explaining this? What about the Sindoor Rotary Operation Sindoor comparison that they've done here?
Well, yes, that's the defense of the Congress party, that if you can have pictures of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on various other things, which are also the Operation Sindoor, we saw that Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big cutouts are put across the country. Now what is happening here in Bihar, because it's an election bound state, the Congress party today declared and that if it comes to power, it will be distributing 5 lakh sanitary pads to girls and women in Bihar. And while showing one of the packet of the sanitary pad, it had a picture of Priyanka Gandhi as well as Rahul Gandhi. And that has really created a controversy, and the controversy is created because the BJP has now taken a jibe at the Congress party and has claimed that the Congress party doesn't even know that where should they put the picture of Rahul Gandhi and where they should not put the pictures of Rahul Gandhi. And that is a controversy that has erupted. The BJP has taken pot shots at the Congress party. However, Alka Lamba of the Congress party, who was here in Patna today and who was making this declaration at the press conference. She also hit back at the BJP and the NDA government here in Bihar, says that since Nitish Kumar in the last 20 years has done nothing for women and girls in the state, and that is why the Congress party has now come out with the announcement that they will be distributing sanitary pads to women and girls if it comes to power. So basically it's a controversy that has erupted because there were pictures of Rahul Gandhi on that sanitary pad box which was shown there at the press conference, and the BJP really hitting out at the Congress and also making a mockery of it, of using Rahul Gandhi's pictures at this place.
Well, absolutely. That's in fact in poll-bound Bihar where this is playing out. I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. Rohit Singh getting in those details. More reactions coming in. Let's take a listen.
अरे छोड़िए, राहुल गांधी जी की तस्वीर पर विवाद क्यों कर रहे हैं? क्यों? जवाब ये दीजिए कि आपकी सरकार सत्ता में रहते हुए हाईकोर्ट के आदेश के बाद बेटियां, महिलाएं आज भी कपड़े पर क्यों निर्भर हैं और गंभीर बीमारियां क्यों उनको लग रही हैं? अगर कोई प्रयास कर रहा है तो उसकी सराहना करिए, लेकिन ये महिला विरोधी हैं, बौखला गए हैं। महिलाओं के फायदे के लिए अगर कुछ हो रहा है उसे रोकना चाहते हैं, लेकिन ये रुकेगा नहीं।
मैं उनकी सोच का मैं समर्थन करता हूं, बट ये आपको असहज करता है। और अब किस कदर तक आप जाइएगा अपना प्रचार करने के लिए? हम लोगों के ऊपर यही लोग सवाल उठाते हैं ना कि भैया आप अपनी योजना पे काहे थैले पे फोटो लगा रहे हैं, ये कर रहे हैं। वो तो चलिए, फिर भी ऐसी चीज़ें, ये एक ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जिसमें आज भी भाई हम लोग वेस्टर्नाइज नहीं ना हुए हैं। आज भी हम लोग संकोच करते हैं कुछ चीज़ों पर, महिलाएं संकोच करती हैं। ऐसे में आपकी सोच का मैं समर्थन करता हूँ। अच्छी बात है कि भाई आप सैनिटरी पैड्स आप बांट रहे हैं, बांटिए, बट उसके ऊपर राहुल जी की फ़ोटो, मतलब ये देखने से ही अटपटा लग रहा है। मैं तो 21वीं सदी का पढ़ा लिखा युवा हूँ, मुझे ही वो देखने से अटपटा लग रहा है। जिसने भी वो तस्वीर देखी होगी, हर किसी को वो परेशान कर रही है, असहज कर रही है। मुझे नहीं पता कांग्रेस इतनी पुरानी पार्टी होने के बावजूद कौन कांग्रेस को बुद्धि दे रहा है, ज्ञान दे रहा है, पर इस तरीके का प्रचार कतई शोभा नहीं देता। मैं इसकी निंदा करता हूँ।
चापलूसी और मानसिक दिवालियापन की पराकाष्ठा पे पहुंच गए हैं कांग्रेसी। अपने नेता को कहां खड़ा करना है, कहां बिठाना है। एक तो उनके नेता भी पहले से वैसे ही हैं, कब क्या बोलते हैं कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है, और बाकी बचा हुआ कसर ये कांग्रेसी खुद पूरा कर दे रहे हैं। एक तो नेता नीम, ऊपर से कांग्रेसियों की चापलूसी नीम पे करेला चढ़ा।
All right, so clearly it seems Rahul Gandhi's attempt to become padman in the state of poll-bound Bihar is backfiring, with, in fact, political leaders saying that this was really not appropriate. Even though it is poll season, this could have been done better.
Ugly compensation war in Air India 171 crash. Air India forced financial disclosures to bereaved. No compensation threat to kin of victims. Phil questionnaire diktat angers grieving families. Top focus at 5:30 p.m.
Well, India today has accessed Air India's compensation forms of families of victims from the plane crash, the recent one, AI 171. The forms ask about the victim's employment status and the financial dependency of family members on those who died in that tragic plane crash. The controversy raises several questions about the fairness of this practice and its potential impact on grieving families.
A tragedy that claimed at least 270 lives. And one that continues to haunt their loved ones even now. Families of Ahmedabad plane crash victims have alleged that they were pressurized to make financial disclosures. India today has accessed the questionnaire sent by Air India to families of the Ahmedabad plane crash victims. The questionnaire sought information such as, was the deceased passenger employed? What was their occupation? Families were also asked to provide employer details of the deceased, like phone number and address. It also sought details of how many family members were financially dependent on the deceased. The form also mentioned that the final amount of the compensation would be dependent on the information shared by the families.
The questions that are being asked, they're not explaining what the terms mean. You know, these are legally charged terms. Things like dependency is a legally charged term. It doesn't just mean, was somebody paying you money at the time of their death? I would expect that that range could be from a few £100,000 up to several million, maybe £5 million under English law.
The controversy erupted after UK-based law firm, which is representing over 40 families, alleged that the airline had been coercing families into submitting financial disclosures. Air India, meanwhile, has denied the charges. It called the charges unsubstantiated and inaccurate. The Tata-owned airline also said that it had already paid interim relief to 47 families and that there was support staff deployed to assist families.
In an exclusive conversation with India Today, Peter Neenan, the lawyer from London who is representing these families, has called these actions of Air India outrageous, saying that Air India is trying to create hurdles for the families to get their compensation. Air India remains defiant, but it remains to be seen what happens in the coming days once lawsuits are filed by these family members seeking enhanced compensation from Air India and also possibly Boeing. In New Delhi, this is Nalini Sharma for India Today.
Right, and Nalini also spoke exclusively with the lawyer of the Air India crash victims who claimed that the airline is making victim families sign documents without them understanding these legal terms. These are complicated legal terms and they don't understand it, is what Peter Neenan said.
On the 12th of June, AI-171 took off from Ahmedabad, and just seconds after its takeoff, it crashed just outside the Ahmedabad airport, leading to the loss of 241 passengers who were on board and one miracle survivor. Today, to discuss this more in detail, we have joining us a very special guest, Peter Neenan. He is a partner at Stewart, which is a law firm based in the UK, who's also advising and has been retained by multiple families who were impacted by this AI-171 crash. Peter, thank you so much for having this exclusive conversation with India Today. We're really thankful for your time. Can you first start off by telling us a little bit about something that we've been reporting on since morning, which is this allegation that has now come to light that Air India is trying to put some sort of pressure on these families to disclose some financial details regarding their dependency and the financial details of the deceased members. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Sure, of course. And thank you for having me. The issue that we've been speaking about relates to a questionnaire that's been given to family members immediately after the accident. And the starting point of this is that there are international treaties in place that exist to govern the liability of an airline after an accident. And the operating treaty in this case includes a provision which requires Air India to make an advance payment for the family's immediate financial needs. So that is an obligation they have to do. They have to pay out a sum of money to help families and support them immediately afterwards. In other accidents, and what we would expect to see is that Air India would take details of family members, ID to support that, and bank account details, and that's it. That's all they should be taking, and then they make an advance payment and allow those family members to seek legal support to enable them to understand what their rights are. But instead, the questionnaire that we've seen that our clients have shown us includes questions about their dependency, includes questions about what family members, deceased family members, were earning. And it even states at the top of the questionnaire that they're going to use this information to calculate the value of the claims. And that is, for us, absolutely outrageous, because first of all, the questions that are being asked, they're not explaining what the terms mean. You know, these are legally charged terms. Things like dependency is a legally charged term. It doesn't just mean, was somebody paying you money at the time of their death? Under English law, it also means, was there a reasonable expectation of dependency in the future? So, for example, families who have a middle-aged family member who dies in Air India, who might have elderly parents who he wasn't supporting at the time of his death, but there was an understanding or an expectation that he would support them as they grow older. That is dependency, but there's very few families I would expect that would have ticked the box to say that they were dependent in those circumstances. Likewise, when we're looking at actual income, the job under English law is to understand the full projection of somebody's income, so how their income will change in time. Now, if you're talking about a breadwinner who leaves behind young children, that difference in their earning profile over the remainder of their career until retirement is a huge sum.
Well, Air India in its defense has spoken about the fact that there was no threat per se and that this is a routine procedure. To put down these questions on that particular form is actually right, and that there is no wrongdoing in that because these are basic questions to gauge the kind of compensation that needs to go out, and also how those who've been left behind, the grieving family, were dependent on those people, on those passengers who lost their lives in this tragic accident. That's what India has said, that we've not been insensitive. The compensation form is what we are talking about. Now, in fact, the family members of the victims were asked to fill out this questionnaire. The questions here were as follows, that were flagged off by the lawyer of the kin of those who died in that horrific crash. Was the deceased passenger employed or self-employed? What was the occupation of the deceased passenger? State additional details about deceased's income. The person who's passed away, you have to tell us about the person's income. What was the name of their employer? Disclose the name, the address, the phone number of the deceased person's employer. More information is required regarding the employer, and that may be sought at a later stage, is what the questionnaire read. Appropriate documents may be called for a later date. Details of family members and if they are dependent on the passenger. Details to determine final compensation arising out of the passenger. I'm going to go straight across to Nalini, who's accessed this questionnaire for us. Nalini, tell us, what is the international convention on this? What do the laws really say? Are airlines supposed to ask these questions to the family members who've been left behind? And can they, on the basis of these answers that are being provided, gauge what the compensation would be? Nalini?
Well, Sneha, this exact same question we'd asked to Peter Neenan, whether or not this can actually be possible and what kind of details Air India requires, especially to give the advance payments. Now, quickly to understand this, Sneha, under the Montreal Convention, Air India is obligated to pay a certain amount of payment, which is, after being calculated, comes out to 1.8 crores Indian rupees to each family that has lost a loved one. A certain portion of this needs to be given as advance payment for the immediate expenses that the family requires, essentially for the funeral, any travel related costs, any accommodation related costs. So a certain portion has to be given as advance payment, which we're given to understand is the amount of 25 lakh rupees. Now this form, the families have been asked to sign this form for this advance payment to be dispensed to them. Now the problem with this form is, like Peter Neenan also pointed out, that right at the very top, it says that this is so that the advance payment can be made, and details shared in this form will also be used to determine the final compensation in the matter. So what the fear, and it's a legitimate fear that the families and the lawyers have, is that if they share the details of exactly how many family members were financially dependent on the deceased, what kind of a job the deceased had, then that might impact the final compensation that they might get. Because like Peter Neenan clarified, the advance payment has to be made by Air India. That is mandatory. It has to be the same for all passengers. There can be no variation in that. But that is not true for the final compensation. The final compensation can be decided on the basis of the facts and circumstances of each individual case, which is also why, Sneha, the lawyers are not keen on going ahead with a class action lawsuit, because what they are saying is that the compensation that each family will demand and that each family deserves is going to be dependent on their own individual circumstances. So it remains to to be seen what happens once this matter actually officially reaches the court. There's no hurry for the lawyers to file a suit because they're essentially waiting for the details of the investigation to come out, because only then will the liability be able to be determined, whether the
Okay.
liability lies mainly with Air India or if there's also manufacturer liability that lies with Boeing.
All right, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Nalini Sharma getting in those details and putting that story into perspective for us as far as the diktat from Air India on filling up that questionnaire is concerned. The victims' families are extremely upset about this move. Shifting focus, let's tell you about artificial intelligence. And it's always been a bit of a worry, hasn't it, whether it is now, in fact, going to be taking away all our jobs. Latest studies have predicted some shocking numbers, and you may not like the answer of these questions. By the year 2027, it is being projected that AI may eliminate about 12 million jobs. We'll tell you more in this detailed report.
For years, corporate leaders have dodged the question, will artificial intelligence take away jobs? An uncomfortable and ominous answer is now echoing from the very top, and it's not sugar-coated anymore. Behind the facade of reskilling, of empowering, and other HR buzzwords are some hard and distressing numbers. The World Economic Forum's recent Future of Jobs report forecasts that a net 14 million jobs will be eliminated globally by 2027. McKinsey projects that by 2030, up to 30% of hours worked across the US economy could be automated. Goldman Sachs estimates that AI could expose 300 million full-time jobs globally to automation. Anthropic says that AI could eliminate half of all white-collar entry jobs within the next 1 to 5 years, causing employment to spike between 10% to 20%. Even CEOs are slowly taking the bitter pill, accepting that the future of jobs looks bleak in an AI-powered world. Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford Motor Company, which has nearly 180,000 people on its rolls, has said that AI is going to replace half of all white-collar workers in the United States. Andy Jassy, CEO of Amazon, has said that the company will need fewer people doing some of the jobs, but more doing other kinds of jobs. Arvind Krishna of IBM is replacing hundreds in HR with AI, but has assured it will hire more programmers and salespeople. Misha Kaufman, the CEO of Fiverr, says it's a wake-up call for employees because AI is coming for all, irrespective of the job profiles. Shopify has stopped hiring. In the CEO's own words, managers have to first prove that their job cannot be done by AI. Several companies have already pulled the rug. Microsoft has announced 15,000 layoffs in the past 2 months. At JP Morgan Chase, the consumer and community banking vertical will shed 10% of its headcount, driven by the new AI tools across operations. The changes are everywhere. Finance teams are replacing analysts with AI forecasting tools. Marketing departments are shrinking as content engines generate campaigns in seconds. Customer support tiers are being collapsed into large language models that don't sleep, unionize, or request paid leaves. The conversation is heating up in India as well. Umesh Kumar, CEO of Runable, a Bengaluru-based tech company, triggered debate by calling resumes AI-generated crap, blaming declining coding standards and misuse of technology. Aditya Narayan Mishra, the CEO of CLHR, warns that entry-level roles like QA testers and software engineers are vanishing faster than new ones emerging. He compares the shift to a digital industrial revolution. Indian IT giants from TCS to Wipro and Tech Mahindra have warned that call centers and ITS jobs are on the decline as they pivot and launch their AI projects. The question is no longer if, it's how fast, and who's ready for what's next. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
Meanwhile, as we learn more and more about artificial intelligence in the last few weeks, and of course we'll be learning so much more about it in days and weeks to come, there is another study that has been done on the impact of AI tools like ChatGPT, for example. A study from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology reveals that it leads to a decrease in brain activity and cognitive engagement, potentially hindering the development of critical thinking and problem-solving skills. I filed this report earlier, leaving you with that. Thank you for watching. Right, there was a time, remember, when we would remember a couple of telephone numbers that would be at the back of our mind, isn't it? Apart from your own telephone number, you would easily, without looking into your diary, dial some other phone numbers also on your cordless phone or your landline phone. Well, the culprit here is ChatGPT, and the idea of memorizing stuff is just so 20th century. Essentially, it has been found by the Massachusetts Institute of Technology that students who rely on artificial intelligence like ChatGPT for their work essentially are becoming dumb. What is now being said is that their cognitive skills is getting impacted. What's also getting impacted is their critical thinking. And this research just speaks volumes of how artificial intelligence is preventing us from using our minds, from applying ourselves. Well, what is being assessed right now is that in the next 10 to 15 years, we could be losing our ability to think and analyze, just like we have lost our ability to memorize right now. Now, what the researchers did is this. They chose 54 participants between the ages of 18 to 39 in the Boston area. They asked them to write essays. Are they using digital assistants or using non-digital assistants, basically applying themselves, which meant that they were asked to use OpenAI ChatGPT or Google search. Others were asked not to use digital assistants. They meanwhile monitored their brain functioning, essentially scanning their brain to look at the cognitive engagement there. Research essentially found that those students who were not relying on digital tools, were using their minds, were applying their brains, showed more cognitive engagement in their brains, as opposed to other students who were heavily relying on OpenAI. In fact, the essays were called soulless by the researchers of those students who were relying on ChatGPT. It shows less brain activity, also less critical analysis thinking, which means they're not using their mind, as opposed to the other students who were not using digital tools like OpenAI's ChatGPT. They were doing their mental legwork, and that is something that should be done. The thing about brain rot is that you don't know until the time it's too late. It's like gaining weight, becoming unfit. You don't know until it is too late, until the time your pants don't fit in, or you're trying to walk up a flight of stairs and then realize how unfit you've actually become. Now, while working on this story, I was also using my phone, and I kind of just thought, which was the year when the first iPhone was first introduced? Well, the year was actually 2007. I actually had the first iPhone. I lived through that era. But what did I do? Did I get my brain to do some legwork and think about this? Or did I type into ChatGPT and ask this question to ChatGPT? Unfortunately, I ended up using ChatGPT.